this same goes for us here in the corporate office and the franchisor having that same relationship with the franchisees, to know them, to know their likes, dislikes, what makes them tick, their family life, what their background is. That same thing applies. What would you say are some other maybe common mistakes new franchisors make? Because I know that's one of them. They don't really put the time into maybe really getting to know their franchisee, but what are some other things?
So we had come from a world where we had corporate stores, right? And at Two Maids. And so we had a training system. We said, here's how you do it. Here are the keys. We're leaving, go execute. So we said, well, that same thing applies with our new franchisees. And so our first franchise was in Tampa, Florida. And we went out there for a week. I was there personally with them and said, go. And thought that was all you needed, because, that's what life we had lived before. And very quickly, things got out of control because we didn't have enough oversight over things like marketing, for instance. We had a marketing program that we had always managed ourselves for our corporate stores, but now that we were franchising, we had to rely on our franchisees to execute that same marketing strategy. Well, over the course of about 2 months, that local franchise said, nope, we're going to do it differently. This is how you do it. Your way is wrong. And of course, things went haywire on them. Business wasn't booming and revenue wasn't what they expected. And when we discovered it, it was 2 months later that they had totally changed everything about our marketing strategy. And so we had to figure out a way to bring that more in-house so that we could have more control. Eventually, we built our own in-house marketing agency. But that was one example, just not having enough oversight on if the franchisee is performing the systems and executing the systems properly. And then what happens when they don't? We weren't prepared for that type of conversation when a franchisee says, no, I'm not going to do that system, even though that's in the manual. I don't agree with it. We just didn't expect that to happen. So we had to learn the hard way of how to get in front of that, how to deal with that when it did occur. Sometimes you have to have some tough love, in other cases, you can take the more carrot approach. But that to me was probably our biggest learning lesson, just not having enough oversight over our systems. Once we started franchising early on, a lot of people wanted to do it their way. And we just sort of didn't want to be the bad guy, and we let them do it. And of course, over time, they would figure out that it was the wrong way, in most cases. Now, it wasn't always the case, but there were some situations where their ideas were valued, and we actually implemented some of them. But in most cases, they were the wrong decisions. We were the ones with 10 years. We had 10 years of experience in the industry before we ever franchised the brand. So we'd been through it all. We'd seen it all. So that's what I would advise any new franchisor is be prepared. What's going to happen when a system is not followed? How are you going to deal with that? How are you going to know even if it's not being executed properly? Have that oversight in place on day one.
Yeah, I think also new franchisors need to understand that their franchisees initially, the first 10 are going to look different as opposed to franchisee number 100. Your first 10, in order for them, look, if I'm going to buy a Pink Zebra franchise and I'm number 1, I must be a bit of a risk taker. My expectations are I'm going to be involved a little bit. I might have some decision making. I may have some autonomy, and there's a little bit of leeway. There's probably aren't all these rules and systems and processes where if I'm franchisee number 100, the only reason why I bought your franchise is because you sold 99 first. So I assume you really have everything together. So as a new franchisor, you have to understand that your first 10, first 20 are going to look a little different as you continue to grow. But that's the reality, right, Ron?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, even here at Pink Zebra Moving, we have some more, most of our early franchisees are very entrepreneurial on purpose. Like you said, we want those folks to actually challenge us a little bit more.
Yes.
We get some good ideas from those conversations. We want to test some new things, and you've got to have a franchisee willing to experiment if we want to test some things. And so we look for, you said it, 12. Like our magic number is closer to 15. But these first 15 franchisees we're bringing in, we want them to be a little bit of an entrepreneurial type mindset, which if you go to any franchise conference, they're going to tell you a franchisee is not an entrepreneur. But I do believe that those first 15 need to be, and so
they're going to be.
They're going to all.
They are
right.
going to be, even though it creates a challenge. But the power of franchising is the push-pull relationship. We are all rowing in the same direction, right? Franchisor and franchisee alike. But there is just it's inherently part of franchising where you do have this push-pull, but that is the power of your brand. That's what makes the organization tick and grow. It's we challenge each other. We have a mutual respect. We're not going to agree on everything, but we do at the end of the day have to agree that this is the direction that we're going to row in, and we need everybody on board, right?
100%. Yeah. I mean, that's the essence of franchising. You want success for everyone. You want everybody to be happy for the success. You don't want to look at your royalty check and say, ugh, that was a complete waste of money, So as a franchisor, you have to evolve and grow. Early on, we're heavy, like in the moving industry right now. Every franchisee we've brought in has zero experience in this industry. Nobody, other than from a customer perspective, no one's ever driven a moving truck, much less owned a moving company. So it's all new to them. And so we're heavy on the trade right now. We're talking how to load trucks and how to separate this dolly from that dolly and so on. That's not going to always be the case. A year from now, 2 years from now, we're going to have to start talking more business analytics and get away from the dolly talk. We know that's coming. We love that already. But right now, it's heavy. How do you hire the right guys? How do you train these guys? I got a grand piano to move tomorrow. How do you do it? At some point, that's back of hand stuff. And
right.
The business support that we provide will have to change.
Well, let me ask you this. When do you know, as the founder, when you can scale more quickly? Is there a couple of trigger points for you that say, yeah, we can pick this up and accelerate?
So we have, I'm a little biased, but I feel like we have the opportunity here to go big quick if we wanted to. We've chosen to go smaller. We're again, it may change later, but right now 5 to 10 a year is really our wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. Because one, I want to hire the right people internally to make sure that we provide the best support. If I grow fast, I'm going to have to go and hire very quickly, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to hire the right people that quickly. And so that's one of the issues. The other is I want to give our early franchisees real attention. If we go out and we sell 100 territories in a year, our franchisees are not going to have a personal relationship with us, in my opinion. And so I want to have a personal relationship with every one of our early franchisees. And to do that, you got to grow slower, And so we're only working with exclusive broker networks right now because of that. We've been told many times if we want to grow faster, there's a way to do it. But right now, this is the strategy that seems right for us because, again, when I look down the road 5-10 years from now, this part of our 5-10 years from now doesn't happen unless we're successful right now. Selling franchises is only half the solution. You got to have successful franchises as well. Maybe there's ways to do it if you've got a strong system inside internally. But again, I don't want to go out and hire 30 people very quickly just because we sold 100 territories. That's my strategy, at least.
I love it. I hope that aspiring franchisors are hearing this episode and specifically took note to what you just said. I can't tell you the number of people I've spoken to that are aspiring franchisors over the years that are motivated by opening as many locations because of the amount of feedback they're getting from people that say, I want to own one of these. I just recently ran into a lady she has a very successful pet business, and her customers are seeing the flood of people that come into her business. And she has quickly accumulated probably 20 to 30 people that are saying, I want to open one of these. I'm not going to give away any details about her business, but she's feeling like almost pressure to going into franchising because of outside pressure of people saying, I want to buy one of these. Is that the right thing for her? Should she franchise because of outside pressure from people that want to own one?
Yeah, I mean, I would, you've got to want to grow. So she's got to understand why do you want to grow? It's going to change everything about her life. Number one, she probably really loves the pet business. I never really loved the cleaning business, but certain industries founders really love their industry. But once you start franchising, you're no longer in that industry. You're in the franchise industry, whether you sell sandwiches or moving services, you're in the franchise industry. And so what that means is you're going to be doing different things. You're going to be talking about contracts. You're going to be talking about how to train people, business coaching, all the things we've been talking about. Very little about the trade, the thing that the product or service that you sell. So she's got to think about that. For me, the mentors that I talked to early on in my franchise discovery process were the right people. So while outside forces can sometimes tell you the wrong thing, if you find the right people, they can tell you the right thing, And so I could not have done this without Fred's mentorship. I wouldn't have even done it. There were other people in the franchise space that were very supportive of me and gave me their time. Couldn't be here without those guys, And so I would recommend people talk to people that have been in this space for a long time. We're very open. This industry is very small. You pretty much know everyone once you're in it. So seek out those folks, and they'll tell you. Like right now, I love telling my story and talking about some of the mistakes I made so that people can avoid them in their own life.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.